Hi everyone, I wanted to jump on and give you a little bit of background as to who I am and what I actually do, so that you can make some sense of the videos that are going to come well, quite quickly after this one, to be honest. So my name is Rachel Earing, and for those of you that haven't met me yet face to face on Facebook, or had any encounters with me at all, I just thought it would be a nice idea for me to come on and say hi and just let you know why I am such an advocate for alternative mental health, really. I had, well, about 4 years ago, I transitioned, I suppose, from a normal job into the therapy world and into a lifestyle change of work. And that led me into dog walking in the morning, which I still do, because being outdoors and being out with the dogs is something that I grew up with. It was my sort of childhood, that was my childhood. It's in the very essence of who I am, being outdoors. So going back to being outdoors now, because this basically I'm now doing more outdoors than I had really for the past 20 years. So I'm getting more exercise and being outside than I have done, being in the corporate world for at least 20 years, but we won't go there. And being back in nature has really brought brought back the joy and love back into my life on a daily basis. It has helped to seep away the niggles, any depression and anxiety that I was suffering at the time, because that's what nature does. That connection with your feet on the ground, the wind in your face, you're able to smell all those beautiful smells and everything that you can see. When you think of being in a room and really you've just got those four walls, no matter what room you're in, that is your stimulation. So whatever in your room, that is the stimulation. But as soon as you step outside, you have an abundance of colour, an abundance of things that you feel, smell and hear. And therefore it moves every single part of your senses, and it starts us on that creative whirlpool of imagination again, really, of what is sort of makes you feel alive. And being on that journey for the past 4 years has helped me build my therapy business into something really rather special. And it's helped develop me as a person in the most beautiful of ways. And this is what I wanted to explain to you, because the being outdoors and with the dogs, that has actually enhanced everything that I do in my therapy business. It has enhanced the way that I communicate with people. It has enhanced my understanding of the seasons and how that affects people. It has enhanced the behaviour patterns that we have and the understandings that I have, not just from a therapy point of view, but just from a natural basic way of living, the essence that is in us all, and a real understanding of our emotions. And that goes for animals too, because dogs have a huge array of emotions, and their behaviour reflects that every single day. They all have their own individual characters, and it's been incredible for me to actually witness, and I do say witness, and I mean witness, their emotional journey every single day, and the joy that they bring every single day to a simple walk. No matter how I am feeling, they bring out some sort of joy every single day, and I can't help but giggle or laugh or stumble over them and be brought back to reality with a bump sometimes, but be really brought back to the present situation every single day. Which again brings us back to mindfulness, which is part of the therapies that I offer. And it took me on a journey over the past 4 years where I, because I am an EFT practitioner, emotional freedom technique, I'm a master NLP, neuro-linguistic practitioner, a master Reiki practitioner. I've done advanced nutrition, and I'm also an MBIR practitioner, which is what is MBIR? You know, it is the most beautiful of simplistic techniques that I think I've got in my toolbox, and I can't tell you how much I enjoy using that. It's mindfulness based in a repatterning, and it sort of brings together in a way the Reiki principles of colour, the tapping principles on your thymus gland area, and the NLP principles of sort of how things sort of work. So it's a really beautiful tool that blends everything together energetically with what the work that I do. And therefore, because of my training, these are the areas that I'm going to be talking about. These are the areas that I know a great deal about. So anything else really will not be covered much in the videos and the groups that I do, unless it is by other therapists and practitioners, which I will occasionally invite in. Bearing that in mind, okay, the work that I have done and the research that I have done to help my clients and help myself, because every time you have a client, you are constantly developing yourself as well. So for any of you who think that maybe going and seeing a therapist practitioner and having one session means that you're done, we're never done. As a therapist, and I've worked on myself and other people have worked, other therapists have worked on me, I will never be done, okay? Never be done, because I'm still here, I'm still living. There are things constantly that are happening in my life that will fill me back up again. But I'm learning very, very quickly now, because I am in the momentum of flowing forward, how to release things very, very quickly, but then also to fill it back up again very, very quickly with joy and with love. And with that in mind, that's why I'm doing this video. It is to let you know that as you start to let go of things, as you start to make connections, as you start to engage with yourself and make some transformations in your life, putting in the positives straight in, okay, is the most beautiful journey of all. If you think of Newton's law of physics, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, okay? So if you think of a vibrating line, okay, a vibrational frequency, on that frequency on that frequency maybe anger, and then the next frequency may be guilt, and then the next frequency may be shame, and then the next frequency may be pride and courage, and it goes on and on and on. And you might think that's really strange that you can put emotions onto a frequency, but you can, and you can look that up with Dr. David Hawkins. He's on YouTube and Google, and there's all sorts of charts and things that you can look at that actually show that emotions actually have a frequency, very much like a radio frequency. So where we tune in to the radio to listen to the next, it might be BBC Two, it might be Capital, it might be Heart. I mean, there's 1,000,001 radio stations now. We might want to do a bit of rock, a bit of classical, but you've got to tune into that specific frequency, okay? And the findings that I've had and the developments that I've made with my clients resulted in in 3 initial charts. And from these 3 initial charts, it took a much deeper look into our emotions and where they came from, where they sort of initially stick, and how you can locate them, and what times, where depending on where they stick, they have them optimum times, and how we can then start really concentrating on letting them go. So this is a little bit different from normal EFT. I started to go deeper to find out where these emotions actually came from. And as I started to work with all of that, I developed this book, which was really for my clients. I didn't and haven't done much to promote it. And it has taken me on the most beautiful journey. It has taken me on a journey of accepting my intuition, reacting on the intuitive thoughts that I'm having, being in flow with the universe and me, and then into the earth. And that connection has been huge for me, because obviously I love to be out in nature. So all of those connections are really, really important, because it really does make me feel like I'm flowing with the planet. I'm flowing with the planet and whatever is coming in from the planet, because don't forget, these frequencies are coming in all the time, whether we like that or not. Okay, we can't stop it. It's happening. It's coming in and it's coming through us. Now, if we are still full of all our own stuff, those frequencies can't flow through us down into the earth. And if that happens, it can cause physical pain. Okay, because as we get tighter and tighter and more tense, anxiety, our whole bodies start to tense up. So all this tension that holds inside us acts like a dam. So if you think of a river and wanting to flow through, and we are making a dam in all our cells, and that can't flow through, then that's where our problems sort of stem from. We get blockages. So as we start to work with our energy system and we start to vibrate our system, okay, these blockages start to vibrate too. And sometimes we need a certain language to go with it, and sometimes we just need to relax our system so much that things start to release, okay? And the more we work on all of this, the more these start to release, and then piece by piece they start to drift away, and that leaves a gap inside us, okay, that if we can fill really, really quickly with something really, really positive, wow, it's incredible. But if we leave a bit of a gap, okay, and it takes us a little while to fill that with something quickly, anything can fill that gap, can't it? Unless we learn how to protect ourselves from that. So there are so many things as part of this that evolve into how do we do that? How do we learn to vibrate our system so that we can start to release these old stresses, old memories that hold stress and this tightness? And that's basically anything to do with your energy system starts that process. Excuse me. See, as soon as I now start to think of working on myself or with others, I start to clear. And burping, farting, laughing, crying, okay, dashing to the loo, they're all symptoms of your energy system vibrating and then starting to release. But inside, it's got to come out somewhere, and it'll come out of the nearest orifice it can, okay? So if that means that you've got to burp it out, that's what's going to happen. So, with that in mind, okay, we're vibrating our systems, and there's all these energy techniques that you can use. Obviously, the ones I'm going to concentrate on are the ones that I'm skilled in. And as I've worked on others and with families and with myself, and this last year we've really, really opened up our system and we're in flow, okay, it's taking me to a much deeper level of understanding with our emotions, to such an extent that when I came to do a video on frustration for one of my groups last week, I was delayed in doing that video. It took me 3 or 4 days to get around to doing it, but it was on my mind. And frustration was so in my thoughts about how I was going to do it, what I was going to do, what I was going to cover, that because frustration was on my mind, that vibrational frequency was running constantly through me. Not maybe constantly, but enough through me for things to start happening. So I lost my glasses for 4 days. Very frustrating. But not only was it frustrating for me, it was frustrating for all the family, because they needed to help me try and find my glasses, because I've put my glasses down. Does anyone know where my glasses are? No, Mum, you're so irritating, you're so frustrating. Why can't you just put them down in the same place and find them again? Why do we have to be included in this? Okay, why does that happen? So for 4 days after I'd done the video, guess what? My partner found my glasses. This continued this theme of frustration, okay? Not only did I lose my glasses, but what else happened? Oh yeah. I couldn't get my gear stick to go into second gear easily for those 4 days. I was struggling, and I kept thinking, oh no, there's something else going wrong now. I've got to get my van sorted. I can't get it into second gear. So after I'd done the video, and I started to relax, okay, I could get my van into second gear, no problem. The problem disappeared. I became very conscious of these. I kept tripping up over the dogs. I kept tripping up over all week. I was being really clumsy, more clumsy than normal, so that it was noticeable, and I was getting frustrated with it, okay? Well, lots of tiny little things that happen in our lives, okay? When you think about a problem that you've got, how much more aware do you become of that problem over a period of time? Or if we turn this on its head, when you are about to buy a car and you want a red Mini, say, how many more red Minis do you suddenly start to see, or Minis in general? They're suddenly everywhere, aren't they? Because you're on that vibrational frequencies of Minis or red Minis. Yeah? It's the same, exactly the same with our emotions. So this became really clear to me when I got out of the van on Friday morning, thinking purposely about this video and saying I need some real examples of what I'm going to use on this, some real life examples, okay, but what I'm going to use for this. Went to pick up a dog, and every single day I open up the door, get the lead and put the lead onto the collar. Well, could I find the little hoop to get the lead on? I went round and round and round, and the dog hair was getting in the way, and I was getting more and more frustrated, and he's looking at me with this beautiful look on his face going, oh, you're so lovely. And I looked at him and my heart melted, and I looked at him and I went, I'm being shown frustration because I'm really frustrated right now. And as soon as I made that conscious connection to everything that I've been thinking of that week, how I was feeling, what that act was showing me, and as I made all of that conscious connection, I started to giggle. And I really started to giggle so much more, and I couldn't stop. And it wasn't that I purposely did that. That was just a natural reaction from my body of how to react to a situation. Immediately, the next thought that came into my head, because I've been working on this all for the past 4 days in my head, was, this is Newton's law of everything that is, has a reaction, has a positive, negative reaction. Okay, so I was being shown exactly how that worked. And I thought, oh, how lovely. This giggling is my opposite reaction to frustration. I like this. I really like this. I really like the thought, okay, that I can giggle my way out of frustration. Let's see how this works. Okay, so I then had a workshop this week where I was explaining how frustration had affected my week. But it was a very short part, okay? We then went on to discuss joy and love and how actually changing our perspective and concentrating on joy and love could really bring about phenomenal changes when you build momentum on the joy and the love. Because we're very good at doing that with the negatives, as I did with the frustration last week, yeah? But this week I've been very consciously building up on joy and love. And I was spreading that out into the workshop, and that was beautiful. And as we were closing up for the night, I was locking up. And as I was locking up, I'd got everything together. We were talking and talking as we went out. I locked the door and went to talk to somebody out in the car, and was in my handbag trying to find my car keys. So we're talking away and I'm scurrying around in my handbag, ended up emptying the whole content of my handbag into their car as we're talking so I could find my keys, which weren't there. So I said, okay, we'll put everything back. I've got another bag here, they're probably in that bag. So then we emptied the next bag into the car as we continued talking. And there's a lady waiting for a lift home from me as well. I said, it won't be a minute, okay. So we emptied the contents of the next bag into the car, and there's no car keys. So I looked at them. I went, okay, I'll be back in 2 minutes. I've left the keys on the table in the place. So went in, opened the door, went to open the internal door to find that it has got a keypad on, and I couldn't get through. And I didn't know the code. So I started to giggle uncontrollably, and I thought, oh, how funny is this? And I've been shown frustration, but because I've been concentrating on joy and love, and because I now know that this is my reaction and it's setting me off now, this is my reaction to the opposite of frustration. I'm not getting frustrated now. I'm having the opposite reaction, okay, in the most beautiful way, which means what? It means the most beautiful things. It means I'm now starting to react to things in the opposite way because I'm giving that momentum, okay? And that's just a naturally occurring bubbling reaction that occurs within me without me having to really process it. I am processing it because I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the connections, and I want to see how many more connections I can make. So, to cut a long story short, I got a lift home. The lady came with me, and I got my spare set of car keys, and we went back and I collected my car, and then the gentleman who was sorting out the room came back later on, and I managed to get my car keys because I only live around the corner. So it was soon sorted, but at each point when I started to tell that tale to my partner, when I started to tell the tale to the gentleman at the workshop place, it was with joy, it was with laughter, I was giggling, it was a really beautiful, joyful, silly thing that had happened instead of all that frustration and angst and anger that could have come of that. And with that in mind, and my understanding that, of course, for the past 4 years, my life has been because of a lifestyle choice that I've chosen, I've been able to take time and really reflect and really look quite deeply into my emotional journey as well as others with the therapies that I do. But the connections that I'm making and I'm now able to explain to you, if we look at what is happening in the world today and the focus and how that focus is being put, okay, into certain things that are coming out in the media, in the world, that are in our towns, that are happening all in the other countries, and it's spreading, can you see how, depending on how we wish to look at this, that can spread with a negative, or it can be as a positive? And I know now that you're thinking, how can something like the coronavirus have any positives? But let's really turn this on its head. Let's really turn this round. The planet is in crisis. The world is in crisis. Okay? We are being given something that is making all of us, all the planet, take stock. It's making us slow down. It's making us breathe. Now think about where this is actually, when I say breathe, this is really important, because if we really go deep now into what that virus is, it's one that affects your lungs. Okay? So it's very important that we think about our breathing and our breath, and actually start to take deep breaths. And that deep breath, if we concentrate purely on our breathing, okay, 3, 4, 5 times throughout the day, you are immediately starting alleviating the anxiety and stress that's building up with the negatives that are coming with it. Okay? And we start to think we're deeper and deeper into the situations that are being given to us, and how we can react in the opposite way. What love and joy can that give us, each and every single one of us? How can that spread? How can that help us? How can that alleviate us? Because as soon as we start to de-stress, become less anxious, work from a place of more love and joy and relaxed state, calm, peace, and we can pass that on and be kind and compassionate to others because we're in that calm, relaxed, peaceful, loving place, then we automatically start breathing deeper. We're building our own immune system. We're helping our immune system relax and repair itself, because we're coming from a more relaxed state, because our body is not doing this. Okay? Relaxing, breathing helps to naturally release all of this. Okay? Which is what I've been working on for the past 4 years. And that might not seem like a long time for me to be talking to you about this. But you know, it doesn't have to be for you to have those moments of conscious understanding. It doesn't mean that I've not been consciously working on things for a lot longer. It just means I've just gone deeper and deeper and deeper into our emotional state and what that means on a daily lifestyle level, so that I'm able to explain it to you, I hope, in a manner that you're able to understand and make connections in your life that can then make connections on a bigger scale, on a more global scale, to something that is being pertained as horrendous and horrific, and it's making people panic. Now you think of a panic attack and what is happening in the world at the moment, in the shelves and the supermarkets, it's much the same sense, isn't it? So let's think what we need to do for the opposite for something like that. We need to just breathe. From the pit of your stomach, all the way up, until you can feel all the different chambers. And there are 3, 4, 5 different chambers, but you might only feel 3. And then you'll catch it in your breath, into your throat. Might be that you start initially breathing from up here because you're not able to take that deep breath because you're so tense all the way down. Okay? There are things like tapping, things like hypnotherapy, things like NLP and Reiki and gong baths and Qigong and yoga, and so many more things can help you relax that system so that you can breathe. So let's try and think of how we can relax our lungs, relax ourselves, to help our immune system build, to help our community calm down so that you can pass on. Because once you are in a calm state, you can help others do the same. And that's my message for you today. I hope you found it useful. And in love and light, good night to you all.